Welcome back. You're watching Channel 1 Liverpool with me, Rifat Malik. Channel 1 Tobruk. Channel 1 Albert Dock. Time to take a look at the headlines now.
It's 10 to 11, I'm Rifat Malik. 9 o'clock, I'm Rifat Malik.
Christopher Older was found dead. All political campaigning has stopped. Stand head to head with...
Hello and welcome to the Muslim Viewpoint, a new podcast series powered by non-profit national media platform American Muslim Today. I'm your host, Rifat Malik, and today we are continuing our Get Out the Vote series. Joining us today is Chris Turner, who is up for re-election in the Texas House of Representatives for District 101, which includes Arlington, Grand Prairie, and Mansfield. Turner's held the seat since 2013 and will be contested by Republican Clint Burgess in November. Congressman, the DNC is having its convention as we speak. We've had some major speeches getting behind Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. She would make history as the first female president and the first person of South Asian descent. Do you believe she can beat her Republican opponent, former President Trump?
Well, thanks for having me. And yes, I do believe Kamala Harris can beat Donald Trump. I think that she has a lot of momentum right now, and I think people all across the country are being inspired by her message of hope, her message of joy, and what she wants to do for the American people. And I think that President Obama put it very well in his convention speech when he said the question in this election is, who is going to fight for you? Who's going to fight for your family? We know Donald Trump doesn't fight for other people. He only cares about himself. Kamala Harris has spent a lifetime of service fighting for others and working for others, getting things done for other people. And that's what we want and need in a president. So I'm excited about her candidacy. I was proud to endorse her within an hour of her announcing her campaign a few Sundays ago. Respect and appreciation for the work President Biden has done in his 4 years. I'm excited that we are moving forward unified with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz as our nominees.
Outside the convention, thousands of people have been protesting about the continued mass killing of innocent Palestinians in Gaza, over 40,000 so far. They believe the Biden administration is complicit, including by giving Israel bombs. Do you have any sympathy with this view?
I think that the conflict in Gaza needs to come to an end, and I'm hopeful that there will be a ceasefire here in the coming days. But no, I don't at all endorse the view that the United States or the Biden administration in particular is complicit. I don't agree with that, no.
There was a huge momentum behind President Biden leaving the race, and there was a campaign, the Abandon Biden campaign, which was largely over the issue of Gaza. Do you think that played a role in his decision to step aside?
No, I don't. I think that the president's reasons for stepping aside were complex and very private, and I don't know that the president has fully, and nor does he need to fully explain his thinking. But what he has said is that he wanted to unify the Democratic Party, and he wants to make sure that we beat Donald Trump because he knows that America cannot afford 4 years of Donald Trump. And I think that we know that after the debate that he had with Donald Trump, there were a divergence of opinions within the Democratic Party, including a lot of leaders on Capitol Hill, about whether he should remain in the race. And I think that his decision to withdraw from the race and endorse Kamala Harris arose out of those concerns, but nothing beyond that.
Earlier this year, the Texas Democratic Party was the first among all the states, I believe, to officially call for a ceasefire in Gaza. Did you support that move?
No, I didn't.
Okay. What do you think that Kamala can do to win over millions of Americans, and this is Jews, Christians, Muslims, people from all backgrounds, on the issue of peace in the Middle East?
Well, I think she can continue doing what she's doing, which is to continue to work, as the administration is doing, for a durable ceasefire. And I was just reading this morning that the Biden administration, Biden-Harris administration continues that work today, working very hard to achieve that. Obviously, it's a very complex and tragic situation. But I think that Vice President Harris in her campaign, will speak very clearly to the need to make sure that we condemn and fight terrorism on all levels, that we have a foreign policy which reflects our values as Americans.
On a related topic, students at the University of Texas at Dallas were arrested and released in April for setting up an encampment in the middle of their campus, similar to dozens across the country. They were demanding their administration divest from companies with manufacturing links to Israel. Was it right to deploy state troopers to remove these students, tear down their demonstration, which was essentially a peaceful protest?
So I think that there were a number of protests across Texas, as there were across the country, on a variety of college campuses, and they took on different forms, and so there were different. Each of them had different results, I guess you could say. I do think that the use of state troopers was an overreaction in some cases. I'm less familiar with the UT Dallas case than UT Austin case. It did seem to me that the response was a little disproportionate. Peaceful protest on college campuses must be protected and preserved. And that is a fundamental tenet of higher education, that students have the right to free speech and free expression, regardless of their point of view. However, college campuses have rules also. So things like camping, erecting structures and tents, that's against campus rules. So the university, whichever university it is, has every right to see that the rules are enforced and make sure that people aren't breaking campus rules such as no camping.
Moving on, Texas has the 5th largest population of Muslims in the U.S., and I think one of the fastest growing populations, with nearly 40 to 50,000 living in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, where we are actually based. That includes African Americans and Latinos, Arabs, South Asians. Have you reached out to these communities, and how do you represent their concerns and priorities as a member of the Texas House?
Yeah, I do, and I have for years, ever since I first ran for this office, and continue to do. I have a number of mosques in the immediate area, the area that I represent. I represent Arlington and Grand Prairie, Mansfield. So there's many Muslims, as you say, from many different nationalities and from all over the world in our community. And I've had the opportunity to attend 10 prayers at mosques in and around my district over many years now. So I try to stay in touch with the community leaders from all different backgrounds and all different religious faiths. And I think one of the most important things we can do is to ensure that everyone has access to their elected officials, and that we as elected officials are accessible and visible to the community, available to address their concern. As a state official, I'm not a federal official, but as a state official, those concerns typically involve, state policy around education, healthcare, things like that. And those are the things that we typically focus on.
As a Texas representative, you're familiar with our state's extremely loose gun laws, in large part perhaps to the Republican administration. Our platform has played a role in educating the Muslim community about gun reform, particularly after witnessing tragedies in Uvalde and in Allen. How are you working to address these issues as an elected official?
Yeah, you're right. Texas does have very lax laws with respect to gun safety. And so several things. I have, as the former leader of the Democratic caucus in Texas, I spearheaded responses from our members after both the El Paso shooting in 2019, the Walmart there, in addition to the Uvalde shooting in 2021, which saw the tragic loss of 21 people, including 19 elementary school children, to express our strong support for common sense gun safety measures, such as raising the age to purchase an assault weapon, which would directly address the Uvalde situation. Universal closing the background check loopholes, so that we have universal background checks. In the state of Texas, we have very big loopholes, unfortunately. Red flag laws to see that people who are a danger to themselves or to others perhaps don't have ready access to a firearm after a judge has looked at their situation. So those are some of the things that I personally support and that I've organized others to get behind. Unfortunately, Greg Abbott and Texas Republicans have blocked any effort to enhance our gun laws. In fact, they've gone the opposite direction in making our gun laws weaker. Such as allowing for unlicensed carry of firearms, a measure that passed in 2021 that I've helped lead the fight against in the Texas legislature.
Just final question. Texas is historically a red state, but increasingly it has become, purple. So do you think this coming election on November the 5th that Texas will finally swing blue?
Well, I think we have a very competitive U.S. Senate race in Texas. I'm really excited about the opportunity to elect Colin Allred and beat Ted Cruz in Texas. Texas Democrats, as you know, haven't won a statewide election now in 30 years in Texas. So it's been a long, tough drought. And I think Colin's putting together a very good campaign, a well-funded campaign, and really drawing the contrast with Ted Cruz as someone who doesn't get things done, only promotes himself, promotes a narrow partisan ideology at the expense of the concerns of average Texans, whereas Colin Allred has a record of accomplishment as a member of the U.S. House of Representatives. That's the marquee race in Texas this cycle. I would love to see the Democratic ticket for president, vice president campaigning in Texas. But I think realistically, they're going to be focused in the battleground states that we're all familiar with. Michigan's, Wisconsin's, Pennsylvania's, as well as Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, North Carolina. I think that's where you're going to see the vice president and Governor Walz spending the majority of their time. And that's a strategic decision. But obviously, if they come to Texas, we're going to roll out the red carpet and welcome them and be excited to have them here.
Okay, thank you so much, Representative Turner, for joining us today.
All right. Thank you very much for having me.